This is emergency, you know, mixed with water. Just, ugh. Oh God, it's so bad. Oh my God, it's so bad. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about colitis. Some of you this doesn't relate to you. For a lot of you it does, because I know that I have some followers who have IBD as well. I thought I would make this video today because it is May 19th, which is International like Crohn's and Colitis Day or International IBD Day or something like that. I have made this video before and I actually got a lot of great feedback on it, and I looked at it last night and I look terrible in it. I don't know what was wrong with my face or my lighting. And I also didn't go into like the details that I think I should have gone into. I think I was like scared at the time to really like go into detail about how I got diagnosed. I thought that I would just tell you guys exactly how I got diagnosed. Yeah, anyways, okay, so what happened was I was 24 years old, so I just celebrated 5 years just this past April. It was not a celebration. I was just like, oh great, I've been living with this shit for 5 years. So anyways, I was 24 years old. I was actually 6 months away from being engaged. My then at the time boyfriend, we lived together. He was always out of town for work. And so I was living in Orange County, California, and now I live in New York City, for those of you who don't know. I was finishing my last semester of school, or it was my last year of school. I had just moved from Santa Barbara, and which is like a couple hours north of Orange County. I didn't really have like too many friends in Orange County at all. And then with my boyfriend being gone for work all the time, I literally had no one there. Like I didn't have any friends, any family, anything like that. I went to Long Beach State, go 49ers, which is like a commuter school. So a lot of people who went to school with me lived, I mean, even though we were in the same classes together, we could live like an hour and a half away from each other. Southern California is huge and spread out. I had friends in classes and in school, of course, but no one that I was like super close to enough to call when this was all happening to me. So I was in Orange County, I was by myself. My boyfriend was out of town for work. I started feeling like some rumbling going on in my stomach. I thought nothing of it. I took some Imodium to subside whatever was going on, and it worked. The Imodium stopped everything. And I ended up going to school the next day, getting like really sick. I was in the library and I was studying, and I ended up going to the bathroom probably like 20 times, not even kidding. For those of you who also have IBD, you know that I'm not joking. I probably went to the bathroom like 20 times, just like chalked it up to be food poisoning. I was like trying to study in the library. Obviously I was very distracted. I ended up stopping studying and I went to my teacher's office hours and I was like, here's my homework. I'm really sorry, but I just don't feel good right now. I think I have food poisoning. And so I just can't go to class, but here's my homework. I'm just turning it into you right now. And she like predicted it. She knew it. She was like, no, something else is going on because you don't look like you have food poisoning. And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure it's food. I thought she was crazy at the time. I'm like, what else would be going on? I was like, no, I'm pretty sure it's food poisoning. She was like, no, like usually like you lose color or something. You're not losing color. I think something else is going on and you should probably get checked out. And I was like, okay, whatever. So turned in my homework, went home. I could barely make it home because I was like, oh my God, I need to go to the bathroom. I was like speeding down the highway, went home to my apartment in Orange County and was by myself. Once again, took Imodium. The next day, it was like a weekend, so all over the weekend, I was just taking Imodium, all that. And then my boyfriend came back from working out of town for like a day, and I was so sick. Like, I just did not know what to do. Like, he was like, what's going on with you? And I'm like, I don't know. I just don't feel well at all. I stopped going to the bathroom because I had taken so much Imodium, but I was just feeling terrible. But at the same time, I was super hungry. And to this day, that's how I know when a flare-up is coming. I get ridiculously hungry. I'm like a bottomless pit. Like, I can just keep eating. I have to stop myself. So at that time, I just was like, he was like, oh, I'm sure you're fine. Because even though I wasn't feeling too well, like, Imodium was helping, but I was super hungry, so obviously that was a sign that I was okay because I still had an appetite. So he was only with me for like one night, and then he ended up leaving again to go out of town. So this had been like 5 days of just like chalking it up to food poisoning, taking Imodium, and then finally the next day after he had left, I just had the worst like day of my life. Once it became like 9 o'clock at night, and like this is gonna get grotesque for those of you who don't have colitis or IBD, so just turn it off because from here on out it's gonna get gross. Around 9 p.m. at night, I was going to the bathroom, and everything that was coming out was just pure blood, and it was black. And so that, now I know that that's a very, very bad sign, because the darker that your blood is means that it's coming from like deep within. Obviously, like when you get a paper cut, you know, like your blood's like super red, like bright red, that's because it's coming from the surface. So yeah, if you see like really deep, dark, like almost black blood coming out of you, that's not good at all. But I didn't know that it was blood because it was black. So I was like, what is going on? Like I had no idea that it was blood. So basically from there, I took myself to the hospital, and I was screaming. I was screaming in the car. I didn't know where the hospital was. Like I said, I had just moved to Orange County. I had no idea how to get to a hospital. I could barely drive. Like I was not in the condition to drive. I was losing a lot of blood. I was like almost passing out. I mean, things were bad. I was like blacking out, seeing stars. I mean, I'm surprised to this day that I could even pull myself up off my bathroom floor to get down to like my parking garage. Yeah, it was just really the most horrific time of my life. It was so bad. So anyways, I get into the car, and there's just blood everywhere. I mean, it looked like someone literally had stabbed me like in my ass, pretty much. Like, I know that that's so gross, but it really looked terrible. But at the same time, I was like, this can't be blood. Like, it's too dark, and there's just no way. I'd never heard of anybody bleeding rectally. So like, I just was very like, I just had no idea what was going on. So I'm driving and screaming, and I'm surprised I didn't kill anyone driving. I'm surprised I didn't die in a car crash. Like, I'm so surprised that I made it to the hospital. I was looking on my phone to see like where the hospital was. At the time, like Google Maps was more of like MapQuest. I went on to MapQuest like on my phone and just like typed in hospital and just went to a hospital, and it was 5 miles away. I remember looking and thinking like, oh my god, 5 miles I have to drive, even though it's like not that far. I mean, that's like how immediate, like I needed to call an ambulance. That really would have been what should have happened. But then once again, it's like, who goes to the hospital or calls an ambulance for just like going to the bathroom all the time, you know? And once again, I didn't know that I was bleeding. Like, I didn't know what that was. I didn't think it was as serious. I was screaming, there's blood everywhere. I was driving very recklessly, like going like 95 on the highway. I'm so surprised, like I said, I'm alive, everybody else is alive, that I didn't get pulled over. And I didn't even care. I'm like, if I get pulled over, I can just show them what's going on, and they'll just take me to the hospital. I literally like skidded into the parking lot. There's 2 hospitals right across from each other. I don't know why. But yeah, so there's 2 hospitals that are very close to each other. And so I just skidded into like the first one that says like emergency room. Ran in there just like screaming my head off. Like I was like the psycho that runs into the emergency room. Like everyone stopped and was just like, oh my god. And I was just like screaming. There was blood everywhere. There's like a trail of blood from my car into the hospital. It was all down like my pants. It was all over me. Like it was on my hands. It was disgusting. It looked like a murder scene, really. They come and get me, and they don't even like check me in or anything. They just like throw me into a room, literally cut my clothes, like as if like, you know, you see that happening in Grey's Anatomy or whatever. They like cut like the pants off and stuff, because I was losing so much blood that like I was seriously just like not in the state of mind that they could even ask me to take off my clothes. Like, so they were cutting my clothes, cutting through my underwear. I mean, cutting everything, my shirt off, everything. They were putting a gown on me. They put a bedpan underneath me, and it was just filling with blood the entire time. And they said, what's going on? What's been going on? And the only thing I could say was, I'm dying. And because I didn't know what was happening, I was just like, I'm dying, I don't know. I'm in an immense amount of pain. And the pain was all abdominal. It was happening in my back too. Like, I don't know. I mean, if that's close to anything like giving birth, Like, seriously, I have so much self-respect for mothers out there who do it without an epidural. So I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm dying. I have no idea what's going on. And they asked to, like, because I think that there could have been, you know, thoughts of maybe like a miscarriage because there was blood, there was like a lot of pain, all that. But no, I wasn't pregnant. I knew I wasn't pregnant. I honestly, for the rest of the time, I kind of like blacked out. I know that I spent quite a bit of time in that emergency room. They just were taking so many tests and kept lifting the bedpan and pouring out so much blood, and like then taking samples of it and just doing all this gross stuff. And I don't know. I do remember looking up at the ceiling of the hospital as I was laying in bed and thinking, like, this is where it ends. Like, this is it. This is how I'm going to go out. And thinking that would be perfectly okay because I don't want to live like this. Totally remember thinking that I literally was dying because I couldn't have been losing that much blood and going to live. I just remembered that sentence, this is where it ends, that like going through my head as I was looking at the ceiling of the hospital. Then they took a bunch of tests and the doctor came over after hours. I don't know, I had passed out at one point and like woke up and it was still just like such a haze. I did call my dad at one point, told him like I'm in the hospital, I don't really know what's going on. I couldn't get a hold of my mom, I don't think. So I called my sister and I told her to kind of like spread the news of, you know, like just tell everybody that I'm fine. If you can't get a hold of me, I am in the hospital. They had put me on a ton of painkillers. I just had constant like Dilaudid and morphine and just a constant flow of it. And like the second that it would kind of start to like go away, that it would kind of start to wear off, they immediately gave me more because the pain was so unbearable. Like, it was so bad. They just like kept, it was just a constant, like morphine, Dilaudid. I mean, I was constantly just out of it. Like, I was just like Percocet, like everything was just going into me because even like no matter how much painkillers they gave me, I still felt pain. They would come in and be like, oh, on a scale of 1 to 10, like, what do you feel now? It's like a 7. And this doctor came over to me after a few hours and he kind of like woke me up. I must have been like passed out, and he was like, he knelt down beside me and was just like, this is out of my hands. He's like, this needs to go farther than just an emergency room visit. So I'm going to have you be transferred to the other hospital because they're much better at stuff. Like, they specialize in that and all that. So he was like, we are going to have to take you off of painkillers for the ambulance ride over. He was like, but I've called them and they're prepped. They know that you're coming in. They know I've sent your test results over. Like, they know that you're coming in, that this is a serious case. And I remember just thinking, like, serious case? Like, what? So they put me in an ambulance and I had oxygen. I remember holding oxygen on me. And they had unplugged my IV for a second. They had given me like a shot of morphine right then. They unplugged it and the pain kicked in and I was screaming the whole ambulance ride over, which was only like a 30-second ride. So then I get to the next hospital where they pull me out of the ambulance and just like rush me into, not an emergency room, they just rushed me into the hospital, like another part of it, because I was being admitted. And immediately, I mean, there was doctors and a ton of nurses, and right away they just like plugged in my IV again, sent me up to a room, and there was a ton of people. Like, I just remember so many people in the room. At that point, my little sister had gotten a hold of my boyfriend, and so they had said, they're like, your boyfriend's here, can you come in the room? And I was like, yes. I mean, I don't know why I said yes, because at this point it's like, I don't know why I let anybody see me like that. He came in and he told me later, he was like, I thought you were dying. Like, I came in there and I had never seen anybody look worse in my life. He came in as they were like setting me up with a bedpan and I was screaming for dear life. Then they told me, you're gonna get a colonoscopy and an, what is it called, like endoscopy? I don't know. It's where they go like down your throat. I mean, at this point it was like 4 in the morning. So a few hours later at 7 in the morning, they come and get me and they push my bed into colonoscopy room. And I remember being out of it, but being scared. I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, is it going to hurt? This is scaring me. Now I know how much danger I was in, like, at the time, because you usually have to be prepped for a colonoscopy to be like completely cleared out. but all of that black stuff that was coming out was blood, which means that I was completely cleared out and my colon was just straight up bleeding. Like I was bleeding to the depth of my core. I didn't need to be prepped in any way for a colonoscopy, and that's a pretty big thing. Like doctors have told me that you have to be in pretty bad shape to not be prepped for a colonoscopy. I remember being like, I don't want to do this, it's gonna hurt, like I don't want a colonoscopy. And the lady was so sweet, she like grabbed my hand and sat right in front of me, and then they were like, you're gonna wake up really happy, you're gonna wake up happy. And I did. I woke up really happy because whatever drug they give you, you're just like, when you wake up. I woke up in my room. A doctor came in and saying, well, the good news is that it's not cancer. And I remember thinking, of course it's not cancer. I'm 24. Like, why would it ever have been cancer? Like, there's no way. Like, why would that have ever been a thought at all that it would be cancer? Thinking back to that, it was like, I really didn't know how bad of shape I was in at the time. I'm glad I didn't know at the time, but yeah, thinking back, I'm like, holy crap, I can't believe that there was a thought for a good 24 hours. That's what they thought was going on. So he came in, and that was the first thing he said. He was like, well, the good news is that it's not cancer. And then he grabbed a chair and sat down next to my bed and grabbed my hand. And he said, and now I'm going to start crying. Oh my God. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, so he grabbed my hand. I'm just going to cry. Sorry. So he grabbed my hand and he said, like, this is something called ulcerative colitis, and it's going to change your entire life. And yeah, he was just like, this is going to be a completely life-changing disease, and it's, I asked him if it was fatal, and he said that, like, it can become that way, for certain, you know, things like, colon cancer and stuff, but he said that it's just chronic, like it's not going to go away. Because to me, like, you know, I've been to the hospital before, but I'd been like when I broke my arm and it was fixed, and then I left and everything was fine, and then I broke my leg and it was fixed and everything was fine, and then I had my appendix out and they took it out, and then I left and it was fine. I just led a normal life. But he said, he was like, your life's completely changed from now on, and you need to understand that that's like the biggest thing that people really don't understand, is that you can't like resume your life that you had before, like eating, and it's just going to change everything. And that is so much of an understatement. Now I was like, okay, being like dramatic maybe, like whatever this is, but now, no, that was an understatement for him to even say that. I mean, he was completely right that it changed my entire life, but nothing like I ever would have thought. It constantly goes through my head, and yeah, I don't know. I know that there's, disclaimer, I know that people have worse things. I understand that. I know that there are people who actually have cancer. I know that there's worse stuff that you can have. But I'm talking about my story. So for myself, it's just been completely life-changing. And I remember him leaving the room, and I grabbed my phone and then Googled ulcerative colitis, because I still didn't really get what was going on. He had showed me like my results of my colonoscopy and what a normal colon looked like and what mine looked like. And it had explained that black stuff that was coming out was blood, and had explained to me, like, when it's that color, it means that it's coming from, like, really deep within and all of that. But I still didn't really get it. Plus, I was on a lot of meds. So I Googled it on my phone. I just remember, like, crying because I thought, like, I was reading, like, these articles of what it had, like, done to people and what it could possibly do to me. And I don't know, then that's like when I started crying. And so then my boyfriend came like back in because he was taken out of the room. I found out later he had been taken out when I got wheeled back in after my colonoscopy, because they wanted to tell me in private about my diagnosis, and he was told separately. So he was told by a nurse. And then after the doctor left me, he had gone back out into the hallway and then explained it to my boyfriend. Then my boyfriend walked back in and it was like dead silent. I don't know. He just like hugged me. So I ended up staying in the hospital for 11 nights and 12 days. I mean, I started to realize like, okay, this is going to be a lifestyle change and stuff like that, like kind of. And then people started sending me flowers from all my friends and family out of town. My best friend asked if she was like, I'm going to book a flight to come there. I was like, no, I'm fine. Like, I mean, it was starting to become like a really big deal. And then when I got out of the hospital, my mom came down to visit for like 10 days. And yeah, so that's my story. And now 5 years later, here I am, still on my mind every single day. I'm terrified to pass this down to my children. Absolutely terrified of that. That's the worst thing. I'd rather have every part of my intestines removed through surgery than to pass even like moderate colitis onto them. Like, I would never ever want anyone to like go through this. And I'm pretty spiteful. I'm like a spiteful little biatch, definitely. I'm a Scorpio, so I would wish a lot upon my worst enemy, but I would never wish colitis upon my worst enemy. Anyway, so the first year was totally out of control. I somewhat got it under control a little bit about like a year and a half into it. And that was just through like mesalamine helps me a lot. Some steroids I don't remember the names of. I refuse prednisone. I refuse Humira. It's been offered to me, but I refuse it. That's just me personally. I don't want to be on that. I can't even list off the things that I've tried. Maybe I'll make another video of like the things that I actually am on and that I have tried if I like look back in my records to see like what steroids I've actually like been on and stuff. If you guys want me to go deeper into this, just let me know. So over the course of like year 2 to year 4.5, I would say that there's been times where I've like gone to the hospital for flare-ups, and of course once you go to the hospital once, when you're in a flare-up, you know, you're going to the hospital 6 times in a week or something, you know. I mean, it sucks. And it's like, urgent care doesn't work. Urgent care does not work, okay? I laugh at people, at my parents especially, who tell me, go to urgent care instead of the emergency room. I understand the emergency room's expensive, but urgent care doesn't want you. Are you kidding? You're bleeding out your rectum. That's like, go to the hospital. You know, it's like, you could bleed to death. Please go to the hospital. If you break your leg, you're not going to go to urgent care. You're going to go to the ER. And it's more serious than that. It's more, I mean, this disease is much more serious than a broken bone. It makes me laugh when people say, oh, try gluten-free. It's like, don't say that to me. Don't say the word gluten. I will kill you. I've tried going gluten-free. I tried it for 8 months, and I ended up going to the hospital more times within those 8 months than I have ever. So yeah, it didn't help at all. I don't have celiac disease. Believe me, I've been tested for all this. I've tried every single diet. So please don't write down below. Do not write down any diets. I've tried every diet, and there's nothing that pisses me off more than people who, actually, if you have IBD, you can write down below what diets work for you. Go ahead, by all means. But people who don't have IBD, and you guys are watching this, I don't want to hear anything. And I'm being dead serious. I know I'm being a bitch right now. I don't want to hear about going gluten-free. I don't want to hear about being keto. I don't want to hear about the whatever diet, this fucking diet, that fucking diet, excuse my language. I don't want to hear it. I absolutely don't want to hear it. It has nothing to do with that. It has absolutely nothing to do with that. I've had the gene to have it since the day I was born, and it just reared its head when I was 24. And no diet is going to make it go away. It's going to keep it at bay, of course. I avoid certain things, absolutely. I avoid a lot of dairy. I avoid all spicy things. Yeah, I avoid a ton of things that I want to eat. And it does keep it at bay for sure, but don't tell me that you know what's going to cure it, because I will fucking lay your ass out. I'm serious. It's hard enough to deal with this, and then when you come at me not having it, telling me that this is going to work, no. No, no, no. And I know that a lot of you watching who have the same thing as me, you're going to agree with me. So yeah, don't talk to me about diets. Don't talk to me about working out. Don't talk to me about any of that stuff. I've literally tried everything. I still have colitis. I do have it at bay, but when I moved over to New York City in October, I obviously got really sick when I first came here because my immune system is not equipped for New York City. Now it is. But anyways, so I started to get the flu like a lot. And then of course that just turned into a flare-up that has been going on for quite a while. So yeah, I don't know, I would say I'm like at the end of a flare-up right now. Hopefully, knock on wood, whatever wood is, or where, I don't know if this is wood, my desk. But anyway, so I have a great employer. She's amazing. She understands. She is so understanding of me being sick. And so are all of my coworkers, and that is like all I could ask for. Seriously, all my friends over here, like, that's everything I could ever ask for, is just to be really understanding. Even the people who know nothing about it, they'll just sit and listen or come with me to the hospital and just like sit next to me while I wait to have yet another CT scan. Yeah, so anyways, that is my story. Sorry I got a little harsh there, but yeah, I'm sure you guys could agree with me. For those that have it, like I said, I hope this video is a little more detailed than the last video that I posted. I will continue to keep posting this or posting like things about this. I want to post a video like dating with colitis, what it's like to date and like tell the person that you have that. Just like different things that I encounter in life, or like how to tell your employer about it, or things like that. Because that's a big thing. I certainly didn't fill out my application saying I have ulcerative colitis. Like, she found out, and you know, eventually in certain ways. So yeah, I definitely want to continue this. I want to start a new series called Kaleidoscope. I'm sure you guys see the title of this video. This is episode 1 of Kaleidoscope, and so I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me know if you'd like to know anything else. I'm an open book. I literally will answer anything about this disease or about my life. And for all my IBD fighters, stay strong. Seriously, just keep trucking and stay strong. That's all I can say. So yeah, just let me know, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.